Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as we get to ride home with you in the afternoon. We're Fox News affiliates.
Yeah.
You can also find us on television, 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television Syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails. I mean, it really makes my day. It really does. You're not disturbing me. Phillip, I had a few of our listeners send emails saying, I don't want to bother you, but I was just wondering if you could talk about apple pies or if you could talk about gardening or stuff like that. You're not bothering me. Continue sending, and I read every single one. That takes time sometimes. But anyway, thank you so much for doing that. I have another very special friend with me right now. We've been friends for a long time. His name is Phillip Gilliland. And he is with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. It's so good to be with you, Phillip.
Oh, it's good to be with you. We have been friends for a long time. I thought about that the other day. I couldn't even remember. I couldn't count them, and that's okay. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. So the best of friends. I come to Phillip for everything, like advice on, the time we were going to. I didn't think COVID hit.
Yes.
And so the person who owned the radio station, I was renting that space from her. And she said, you make me nervous because she had asthma. And she said, talk show hosts now are doing it from a spare bedroom. And so I didn't know if I could.
Yeah.
So, of course, Phillip prayed with me. And so I felt so much more relief after that. Sometimes just confiding in a friend.
Oh, absolutely. And I do that. I do it. What I say is your circle matters. That circle of people that you have close. I had a great conversation yesterday. I bet we talked for an hour yesterday afternoon. One of my pastor friends, and his little granddaughter's been sick, and she is the most precious little girl that I've ever been around. Just a darling little girl, and everybody loves her because she loves everybody. And so we've been praying for her, and I think hopefully she gets to go home from the hospital today. And but he and I talked. He is one of those in the circle guys and he called me to give me an update, and I was so glad to hear that. So, that circle of people, you need those people when something happens or you're faced with a decision to make. You need somebody to join with you and pray about it, because the Bible tells us don't worry about anything but pray about everything. That's what Paul said. And I believe that. We have a dear friend in our church, and I was at his house last night, and he has just found out he had some cancer, and it scared him. I mean, he's in his 60s and a super good guy, one of the best men I've ever known, and has a precious family. And so when it comes to times like that, that's what we do. We get together and we pray, and we've done that 2 or 3 times. And he was in the hospital having a biopsy a little over a week ago, and I went with him. I mean, they asked me, said, would you come? I said, you bet I will. That's what we did.
Thunderstorm.
Yep. But anyway, that circle does matter, of people that you have around you, and sometimes I don't know why it is, but people at times get the wrong people, and they can do as much harm as good people can do good. You just have to be always conscious of who is it that's really in your circle, or they who you need in your circle, because you need somebody that is like-minded, somebody that is prayerful or has a good prayer. Like one of the best prayer partners I know is my oldest granddaughter, and she's been that way since she was a little bitty girl. But I've walked out of hospitals where one of my best friends was really, really sick, and I've walked out and called her on the phone and told her, I said, I want you to pray for this person because they mean a lot to me. And I knew what her prayer life was like. And I've had other kids in our church that we done the same. There was not many, but there's some of them I know have a really and I was so thrilled. My youngest one was at a rodeo last weekend, and of course we're behind the chutes and getting ready to put him on a saddle bronc, and and I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to another kid, and I looked over, and he's over in a corner with his hat off, and he's praying. And I'm thankful and Liz and I talked about it a little bit yesterday. My wife and I think that we realize that we're just people and we make mistakes, but we've at least got some of it right. And that's what you think about when you see your kid over in a corner with his hat off. Yeah, we did some things right. So that's
I think you did a lot of things right. It's important to have mentors, and you are a mentor to my husband, Phil, and to me.
Well,
and so definitely appreciate that.
Yes, and I appreciate it. We get that opportunity at times to do that for some young people too, and we've had a new couple to come to our church. One of those guys that had he was in another church, but he is really a dynamite preacher for his age, and they've been coming to our church now for a couple of months, and he told me those same words, and I'm thinking, man, he might be the very one to take my place, and I think, praise the Lord, because I'm getting a little long in the tooth. You got to. It's not it's not anything to. And I tried to talk to some of my elders about it. They don't want to talk about it. They say, oh, don't. And I'm saying, you got to be open to thinking and talking and praying about these things, because I'm 75 years old. Somebody's going to have to take my place. And
you're constantly grooming somebody.
Yeah, and maybe this is the young guy, because oh man, and of course his sweet little wife is one of Miss Rebecca's girls. She came from the Ranch of Hope and Healing.
Oh, wow.
And she has an incredible testimony, and she's just awesome. And then they've got this cute little 2-year-old boy. And man, as soon as he comes in church, he comes and gets in my lap. I mean, he comes straight. And
is that before or after you give the candy?
Even before. But he can eat more of it than any 2-year-old. Now, he cleaned my pockets out yesterday, and I didn't care. And I said, does this hurt him? Am I giving him too much? I said, it don't bother him. I said, he's a growing boy. But Lord, I mean, what a blessing, some of the opportunities that we have to make an impact on some. And people do that for me. I can just, I have this guy who's not hardly as old as me, but he's not far behind me. A couple of them. One is the guy that I worked with and traveled with a lot, Stacy Humphrey down in Mississippi, and he and I are more like brothers than anything else. And he has 2 biological brothers, but he would say and he loves them. But he said he would tell them, said, Phillip and I are closer together. And I would say the same thing. Of course, I only have one sister. I never had a brother, but he is the brother I never had. And it's so important to me. The boys are fishing in a fishing tournament with the school here next month. Well, it's actually now this month. It's April almost. So, and he's coming from Mississippi and bringing his boat, and he'll guide them on that tournament that day. So, I mean, he'll come all the way from Mississippi, and he just delights in doing it. And I'm thankful for a friend like that. Another one is Oscar Griffin. Oscar and I rodeoed together back when we were young guys, and Oscar is what I call my personal elder. And everybody needs somebody. He's a guy that I will talk to, or he will talk to me and tell me if I'm doing something that's getting toward the edge or something.
That's the friends I want.
And he is that guy. He is that guy. And Lord goodness, I couldn't tell you how we've spent so much time together the last few years, and we just relish that time that we just sit and talk about different church things, and I think we have an upcoming clinic coming at Lookout Mountain, and we're expecting probably 300 people. That's May the 26th on a Saturday, 24th or 26th, whatever that Saturday is, and Oscar will probably help do the elder section of training that day, because he is probably one of the best elders I've ever known in a Cowboy church. So those people in that circle are incredibly important.
Well, I'm from the country, and my grandmother used to always say, "Be careful who your friends are and
That's
who your
right.
mentors are, because birds of a feather flock
That's
together."
right.
And that's absolutely true.
Oh, it is. And especially in raising your kids, because kids are going to mimic their parents. Whether if you're a person that thrives on drama, you're going to raise kids that thrive on drama. If you're a person that has a spiritual convictions, you're going to raise kids with spiritual convictions. Now, I'm not telling you they won't stray off and make mistakes, but because I believe we're all a little bit prodigal to some point, but those kids will always know where to come back to. They will always know. The smartest man that ever lived, I believe, was Solomon. Said, "Train up a child the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it," meaning they'll come back to it. So, uh, and I believe that. One of my dear friends that has gone on to heaven, Mr. Bubber Cameron, who has he was the one that started Cameron's Quail Preserve, and his boys and grandchildren all run it now. And I spent a lot of time there, and I love that family, still do. But when he went to be with the Lord in 2000, that kind of it took really one of my flowers out that I listened to and got a lot from. But the Lord's replaced that with somebody else. But Mr. Cameron, he had that. He lived that philosophy of train up a child the way he should. In fact, it may be even on his tombstone, and he didn't just do that for his children. He did that for every child that he ran across. And when it came time for his funeral, it was a huge group of people, and some of them traveled 5 states away to come there, because when in their life as a young person, when they were in trouble, their parents sent them to spend the summer with Mr. Cameron and working on that quail preserve.
So I wonder how many mentors, people he mentored throughout his entire life.
Oh, it was incredible. And here's the other thing.
And people out there are going to have something special in a crown.
Well, at his funeral, this said to me about as much about a person as can be said. Now, he employed some poor black people that lived around the neighborhood. It's a poor part of Alabama. Uh, and I worked with them. I helped them dress quail. I drove and harnessed mules with them. And when I went in, and they treated me like royalty. They were such good people. And when I went into the funeral, I sat on the back row with all of those people. But I could look in that group and pick out attorneys, professors from the University of Alabama, a couple of doctors that came from Texas even to be at his funeral. And his life encompassed the entire span of the social order, from the least to the most successful. And I thought, boy, that says something about somebody to me. That impacted me as much as anything about his life. And he had taught, and I went with him to jails to do ministry. I went with him to nursing homes to do ministry. I saw him lead a men's group in the middle of absolute nowhere of 16 men that would show up every week, and he was pouring into them. It was amazing.
Well, he walked the walk. And there's something about somebody who walks the walk. I mean, there's an aura about them, and you'll just know.
Yes.
They do.
Yes. But I think about those guys. And of course, I had an awesome dad, and my granddad was a really good man. They invested a lot. But not every kid today has that. We have some kids even come to our church, and they really don't have the funds to have horses or saddles and things. So, but we have guys there that will furnish them horses and saddles to compete. And I hear this a week ago, this past Saturday, we had some kids that was competing in their first rodeo. They never, and all their family, it was like they were at the national finals. And it was just a little rinky-dink rodeo, but to them, it was every. And listen, I drove out there. I was on my way to Miss Rebecca's, but I drove out of my way and I stopped and prayed with them before I went on to Miss Rebecca's. And I thought, what a blessing. The one that's getting the greater blessing is the guys that's furnished them the horse, the saddle. But these kids, one of them in particularly, she worked cleaning houses to get her entry fee money. And I was so proud when I heard that. She don't know, and I'm not going to say a word about it, but I'm here to tell you, because I remember when I was growing up, I picked up aluminum cans on the side of the road to pay entry fees, and I was 20 years old.
I love beads.
Yes, I was 20 years old, but I'd do it usually really early because I was too embarrassed for people to see me picking up cans. But I'd go by about daylight, I'd be down somewhere picking up cans, and I was doing it. I knew where all the cans were thrown out at. And there was a couple of factories there where the men and ladies ate lunch on picnic tables, and there was all kinds of. I'd go there and
you were like Ruth. You were gleaning in the fields.
I was gleaning because I wanted, I wanted to have entry fee money. It wasn't that I didn't have a job. I had a job, but I was trying to do something extra, and that's what makes us who we are. Now, the one thing my family did believe in was work. They wasn't no shortage of work, and that's not today. Not every kid gets that kind of an influence to see somebody that really works, but that's a biblical thing too. The Bible tells us we're supposed to work for what we have. There's not supposed to be shortcuts to get things, and you
appreciate it more.
Yes, absolutely, and it'll make you somebody. My dad always told me, said, you'll always encounter people that are smarter, but you can still win out over them. You can still overachieve them if you're willing to work hard enough. The answer is you got to be willing to work harder than. And I have lived that through the corporate world and everything else of my working career. I was able to live that out and prove it, because if you're willing to work hard enough, you can beat anybody. It's just a matter of how
It has
hard.
nothing to do with a degree. I worked for a corporate company one time. This guy came in, and he had just finished his master's. Well, so he comes in, and so my boss actually said, "You got somebody's going to give you some competition now." He said it that way, and I thought, I didn't say anything, but I'm thinking, I don't think so, because this guy can't put a sentence together. He's too busy analyzing everything. Where I believe just jump in there and do it. Just don't have to analyze everything. He would practically make PowerPoint presentations for nothing. He would spend so much, and you got to prepare. You got to do that.
That's true.
But he was spending every single second preparing for a meeting, and so he and I went together. And so he wasn't making the sales I was making. It was corporate accounts, government accounts, and that kind of thing. So the boss wanted him to come with me on one of mine. I just handed him a sheet, told him how much it would cost and all this kind of stuff. And I went to one of his presentations, and he was explaining that the cell phone business, there's a big Metso system. It's like this big computer room, and the people were practically on it and all. So the boss said, "Well, what's he doing wrong?" And I said, "He's overdoing it.
We too much information. TMI.
They just want to know how much it's going to cost if it works."
They don't want to be bored with all the details. Give me the 3 or 4 of the most important
bullet
things.
Points.
Yeah, that's right. Give me the bullet points and let me go.
It's easy. You can do. I would love to see the world of customer service improve.
Oh, I have these conversations with people all the time, because there is, and I hate to bash somebody, but if you look at Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart, which is to me the worst one, or the beginning, that's where it started, and they put all these small businesses out of business. and the reason why they did is they have zero customer service. Now I will say this: I had some time to kill. I was in North Carolina last week, and I was about an hour early for a lunch. So and there was a Lowe's there. Well, I needed a couple of things, so I go into that particular Lowe's. There was a guy that took me under his wing, carried me. Every now and then, you'll run across that
And that one will
special.
move that fast
Oh
in the
yeah,
company.
he. But guess what? He was a guy my age. He he wasn't one of the. And Lord knows I'm not against young people. I get criticized in our
I
church
know.
for doing too much with the young people a little bit, but we that is our future, and it's not a bad thing. I don't think people are really fuss about, but they do know that is my focus because I want the church to have a future as long as the Lord leaves it there. So, but I enjoyed that. I thought, I had fussed and fussed about customer service, but here was a guy that came out of here. I asked him where something was. It wasn't his department. And he went with me and helped me find it in somebody else. He could have just said, and this is the way it most of the
It's
time
not
goes.
my job description. I've
No,
heard that a lot.
the way it goes most of the time, you'll find that on aisle 13, and that's it. That's you go find it. He
Oh,
went
woman,
with he went with me and helped me find it. And I thought, man, of all these times I fussed about customer service, and here was a guy that knew what it was about, and he got it. And that was a Lowe's in Asheville, North Carolina.
And it's so simple.
Oh,
Really. The
it
day
took
will go
him
by so much faster.
it took him 5 minutes to do that, but it changed my day because I went in there knowing. I said, well, I'm going to ask for something, and,
The
and
person was flipping burgers the day
yeah,
before.
yes, that's right. But it was so good. I so appreciated that. And every now and then, but it is rare in today's world that you find somebody that has much comprehension about what customer service
It does.
is.
We're going to have to go into a break in just a few minutes, but I wanted to mention this. So we are at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City Used Car Sales. Well, there was a slight little issue. Now, this is a truck that Phil bought months ago, okay? It's
Her
not like
husband,
he's
Phil.
just my husband, Phil. So, I mean, this is not like, I think it was in August or July or something. So, it's not like he just bought this truck from Bobby Ledbetter Twin City Used
And it
Car
was
Sales.
used.
It was a used one. Absolutely. With just this faint little something. And Phil just mentioned it to Bobby. He just said, well, Bobby, what do you think I need to get out? So and so. Do you have any ideas on? Well, Bobby, Phil, you need to get down here right now. Well, I mean, he was just like really upset about it.
Well, this is a play.
And
This
is
is
the place you want to buy your truck or your
That's
car
right.
or your even a tractor possibly.
Oh yeah, just
Right
tell
here
him.
at Twin City Used Car Sales in Gadsden. They will take care of you.
That's
They're
right.
located in Gadsden, Alabama. So I'm here in Phil's truck, and so you heard the conversation.
Yes.
He almost worried me to death, making sure I was
Yeah.
happy. And I said, it was just a tiny little, I mean, it was nothing. It wasn't like, and then I said, because the truck it was several months ago. So I just asked Bobby, I said, well, how much did we owe you for that? And he goes, nothing, Miss Donna, nothing.
Oh, he's a good guy. He comes from up there where I was raised, and everybody
They raise
knows.
them good there.
He was a good guy. Of course, you know the story. We bought my wife's last vehicle, and and I told him what we wanted, and it took him about 2 weeks. He said, "Give me a little time." I said, "We're not in a rush." 2 weeks later, he said, "I think I got exactly what." And guess what? Here we are. I bet that's been 3 years ago, probably. And
It was
that
around
thing,
COVID time, I think.
yeah, it was. It was yeah, you're right. And she still drives it, loves it, and it has never given us a minute's worth of trouble. And it was just what we needed at the time. And what a blessing! What a good friend! And he is the greatest guy in the world to do business with, and that's Bobby Ledbetter, because he has a spiritual life. He is solid in his character, and in his ways of doing business are the old-fashioned ways.
You know what I've heard that he has done? He doesn't know. He'd probably be embarrassed if I told it. I've talked to several churches in the Fort Payne area and other areas who have said he would just come to the church, sit down, write out a $2,000 check for
Yeah.
the church. Just write it out. Just put it in the offering and then leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's that
He,
kind of a
he's
guy.
that kind of guy. And that's not even his home church either.
You just go visit and find out they had a need for something, and
Yeah.
just and not he didn't want anybody to know it.
And we've talked over and over about times when we fed all those people, and we couldn't have done it if it hadn't been for Bobby Ledbetter, because he sponsored
He
them.
told me one time thousands of people got fed, and this is during COVID, so he started going around to different towns, and there was Cowboy churches. Don't shy away from that. The Cowboy church was very instrumental in making all this stuff happen. You guys were bringing your chuck wagons, and it was
Yes.
just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was good, and of course we're affiliating with some new churches now, and one of the things that they saw that made them want to be part of the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches was they saw what Curtis Chesser and these people do with chuck wagons that go to places that are suffering disaster, and they set up and cook and give away food for weeks at a time.
Go everywhere. Like I remember Mr. Chesser went all the way to Kentucky when
Mayfield. He went to Mayfield once, and I remember, and that was from a tornado, and I worked up there a bunch in my working days. But I remember one morning there, a few days after that, and they were up there cooking. There it came a huge snow, and they were out there in the snow still cooking and giving away food.
Well, in Henniger, when they had the
Yeah.
terrible tornadoes came through North Alabama, and so Curtis was out there, and a bunch of other guys that were out
Yeah.
there giving food to everybody.
We were that. I was thinking about that the other day. I was explaining to those folks in North Carolina what 2011, April 27th and 2011 did for us, and the number of lives we lost was equivalent to what was lost up there. And I'll talk more about that later. But it is amazing the way that our fellowship, because it is a fellowship, our churches, even if like when Tim Collier's little granddaughter gets sick, we're grouped together in a text, so he can send out a text and ask for prayer, and that's it. I don't know how you place a value on that. Because if my grandbaby's sick, man, I'm wanting somebody to pray with me and help me, because there's nothing that'll
That's huge.
get to you faster than a little one being sick. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said for the fellowship that comes, and people that like Bobby that have helped, and Miles Smith and John Merrill and all. I mean, we could go on. He was at every one of those. So I'm thankful for what we gained in brotherhood and servanthood by working together with
That'll
all
be
these
time
people.
never forgotten.
Yes,
That's
that's
in my
right.
memory forever. Let's go into a commercial break,
Okay.
and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay?
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. We're in South Carolina, and right now we're at Bobby Ledbetter's place at Twin City Used Car Sales. Now, we're not in South Carolina right now, but anyway, we were loving the Carolinas. So, and we are a few things we're going to be announcing, and I can't tell you yet. I'm one of those, I won't tell it all now.
Yep.
Well, we need to wait. But I'll be telling you, I'll be giving you some updates, and I'll tell you too some updates that are going to be happening. I'm really, really happy, and I want to thank the folks in the town of Abbeville and all the surrounding areas. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your neighborhood. And we're just having a really good time with it. Chamber of Commerce is awesome up in there, too. Good. Some really, really good folks. Phillip Gilliland is with me. He's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. Now, you've been on some trips.
Oh, I have. I just made 6 churches in 5 states, covered just under 1,600 miles.
That's a lot of
and
you were
that was
there.
over, I think, 8 days. But it was really good. It was, I put it together that way. I mean, if you can save money and do a bunch in one area, and I had that trip put together, but then I had a request to come and preach for somebody, and then go to Miss Rebecca's and preach there at Cowboy Church of Jerusalem. At the Ranch of Hope and Healing, which is her thing. It was all good, and so that's kind of the way that trip started. I'm over there on Saturday, and our chuck wagon, it was their spring stampede, so our chuck wagon team was over there cooking. Brad Wilson and Amber and Ronnie Knight and Melissa and some other people from our church. Mr. Dwayne, of course, he's always there, 92 years old. I've never laughed so much in my life. But Brother Dwayne is he's very financially secure. He has really helped our church financially. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for Brother Dwayne. He is a very accomplished man, an engineer by education and trade, and of course, he's 92 years old and chops wood for the chuck wagon team. So
You never dream he's 92.
I got so tickled. We were up there, and it got warm, and the wind was really blowing, and he took off his top shirt. Well, he had on a T-shirt, and of course, it was an old T-shirt. You could have read a newspaper through it. And if he didn't let one of them embers get into his T-shirt and catch it, it was just smoking up a storm. And Miss Melissa said, "Come here, Brother Dwayne, I got to put you out." He said, "Well, I thought I felt something." And I told her, I said, "I wish I could tell you that's the first time he's caught himself on fire, but I think it's the 3rd time, the best I remember." And we just have the best time. And of course, I left there and I drove all the way to Troy and spent the night so I could preach in New Brockton that Sunday morning for Todd Nichols at Stockyard Cowboy Church. And His daughter was in something at Auburn where she goes to school, and Todd Nichols and Amy have done a bunch for me, filling in for me and preaching in places where I needed his help. And he has never asked me to do anything, but he wanted to go to his daughter's fun. He should have. He said, he calls me, he said, I don't have anybody I can get to come fill in. I said, I'll be there. Because the Lord has given me these guys in my church, Jonathan Young and DJ King and a couple more that can just step up and fill in, Charles Manning, and they can fill in anytime. And so I go down there. This is how that trip started. I Miss Rebecca's on Sunday morning in New Brockton, which is right there by Enterprise. I preached there. Well, I came home that Sunday night. And on Monday, I took this lady to the doctor that I helped take care of. We went to high school together, and she's just a dear friend, and her health is not good, and so I take her on Monday. Then Tuesday, I leave really early on Tuesday morning, and I go to Monticello, Kentucky. And I met with a guy there who has had a super good guy. Robert Judd is a really good man, and he has been preaching for a long time. He's got a real healthy functioning Cowboy church, and he is going to affiliate with us. And I had a great time, a great visit. So I come back that's Tuesday, I come back to Knoxville, check in a hotel. And just outside of Knoxville, in a little town called Blaine, Tennessee, is Clinch Mountain Cowboy Church. So I go to church there that night. I preached there 2 or 3 times, and Mike Hamilton's the pastor. We had a great time. So then Wednesday morning, I get up and go to Jamestown, Tennessee, where there's a Cowboy church about to start. And I met with a super good guy there. Steve Higgs is a really good man. He's connected to this culture. He's been and I went to his traditional church. They fixed lunch for us that day. It was awesome, just a home cooked meal. And I'm thinking, man, what a blessing. And so that was right outside of Jamestown, Tennessee, and then come back, and Mike Hamilton and I had dinner together that night in Knoxville. And so the next day is Thursday, and I drive over across I-40 into western North Carolina near Asheville, and I met Leon Gibson. Leon Gibson goes to Lookout Mountain, but I met Brother Lewis Gibson and his wife, sweet people. They are at the Blue Ridge Cowboy Church there in a little community called Fairview, North Carolina. They were really instrumental in serving those people after the damage that occurred there, and there was several people lost their life just within a quarter of a mile of that church. The church had a big tree that fell on it, but it didn't get flooded because it was up on the side of a hill. And they still have big containers of food and things that they have stored that they continue to give out. But I had a great time with Brother Lewis, and we spent a lot of time we had a great visit. So Curtis stayed in his house when he was up there cooking. Mm-hmm. So Curtis opened that door. There's so many doors that Chuck Wagon ministry opens, and so they're affiliating with us, and we're going to do some things together. What a blessing those trips were to get. Here's 3 new churches joining our fellowship that came out of that trip, and I was so blessed because of the way it came about, and these awesome men of God that I got to meet. Of course, Jeff Duncan, he pastors a church up near Paris, Kentucky, and his church is already affiliated, and he already knew these guys. So he went with me to Monticello. He met us and ate lunch. He knew all these guys. They had been together before. So Brother Jeff is affiliated with us. He's another really, really good man, and I had the best time. I'm going to tell you, when you're in a group of men that are like-minded, that are trying to do the similar kind of servanthood, it is really encouraging. So I come back home really full. I mean, just spiritually full. Of course, I'd spent, those many hours of driving just with the radio off, just trying to hear from the good Lord about things, and it was a really blessed time. And so, with all that said, it was a good trip, and we get to share a lot of these things, and they'll all go through this process of the pastor process, and it'll take a little while because we want to pray through everything and get it right. So, but boy, I can see a lot of fruit coming out of those seeds that were planted, and it goes all the way back to being planted with the chuck wagon. So what a blessing. And I haven't even told Curtis all that. I think he probably already knows it, but
He's thrilled, I'm pretty sure.
oh, he was. He sent me a text about it because I had posted a picture or two up there, and those people have really been through it in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. It is unreal. Even here we are 5 months later, and all of that damage and all of the loss of life. I mean, there was a pile of debris down below that church I was at, and they had found a 13-year-old boy in it. And it wasn't but a couple of 100 yards from the church. And then a quarter of a mile on beyond that, there was 17 people when the side of that mountain came off and wiped out 2 or 3 houses, and there were 17
It
people.
changed the whole landscape of that
Oh,
area.
some of the creeks don't even follow the same route anymore. They're off a little bit. And Pigeon River is the big river there in the bottom of the Big Gorge going across in from Tennessee. And like I said, I-40, they had one lane of it open in each direction, which was good. And even that, the traffic was slow, but it wasn't unbearable. And it wasn't nearly as bad as going around Knoxville. That is the worst.
There's a tunnel up there. And we would take it when we would go before we moved to the Carolinas, we would love Asheville. So we would go from Tennessee
Yes.
into Asheville. Remember the big tunnel?
Well, yes.
Everybody honks their horn. I mean,
They
it's just,
do.
it's
They
not
still
even,
do.
it's an unwritten thing that everybody does.
They still do it, and we went through that tunnel, and it was good because it saved us about 4 hours of driving out of the way. Even
It's
though
such a beautiful drive.
oh, it is, and it's still, they've made so much progress, and there's still going to be a while getting that 4-lane open because they're having to rebuild bridges and everything else down there. But they did good getting 2 lanes open as quick as they did, and it was a lifesaver as far as I'm concerned because it just saved a whole bunch more driving. But that
We
was
noticed a lot of erosion, though.
yes, and they're working on that. They sowing grass seeds, and they chipped all those trees, those thousands of trees. They chipped them in big piles of chip because you can haul them. It saves so much space on a dump truck hauling them out in chips versus all the limbs.
And the neat thing about those wood chips is they're going to move back into
That's
the
right.
ground again. You're going to have some beautiful flowers and trees
Yes,
coming out.
that's
of that.
right. It's amazing how they've done and how diligent those people are, and how so many people. And one of those guys is a guy named Jackie West that we worked through some and helped him. He is a typical guy. Just works every day. And he drives a truck. He gets through about 2 or 2:30 every day, and every day he's hauling stuff back into them mountains to people. People have given him use of a warehouse and a forklift, and he is another just an awesome servant. He goes to a traditional church, but Jackie is one of the most trustworthy guys I've met in the process. I didn't get to see him on this trip, but man, what a good guy he is. And I mean, there's so many stories of people that he just made that his mission in life, and thankful, and that he is going to get a lot of crowns when he goes to heaven, because that guy has really done a phenomenal job serving.
Well, the Cowboy Church has been a big influence in areas you don't even know about.
Well, yeah.
One of my friends, Rick Staines, is from England, and he and I have been friends going on 20 years now, or a little bit longer than that. And I don't know if he's called you or not,
No.
but he works for a big, huge security company. And so he wants to get in contact with you. He's trying to get a satellite type system because he'd heard me talk about you, and he and I are friends. He's seen some of our shows, so he knows about the Cowboy Church. He said, so they're actually they're getting a newer version. He said, but it's still a phenomenal system. And he said, I know you've talked about the Cowboy Church
Yeah.
with their wagons, and they go out and help people. And he said he told his boss about you guys, and so they just want to donate it to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth about $50,000 for each unit. They're just not going to use it. And instead of selling it, they just want to donate it.
Yeah.
So they're going to get in contact with you about
Good.
that.
Good.
But he said, I know you've talked about your friend Phillip and the crews going out to help people in disaster areas. I
Yes.
just think that would help y'all.
Oh yes, and we put money back for those incidents where it's a fire in Texas or a storm in North Carolina or wherever. Florida, we did a lot of work in Florida through Billy Keith at Rafter Cross Cowboy Church in Williston. We did a lot through him. That's one of our. In fact, he serves on our board of directors. But what a good man he is, and I just love him and his family. They're really sweet people, and he was another one that just worked diligently doing things in that area. And so we've actually sent 53-foot tractor trailer trucks there because we could get them in and out of there. But it's a blessing to get to do that, because that's what we're called to do, is to help each other and support each other. And there was a man, can I tell you this real quick? This man that I worked for 25 years ago, his name's Don Mueller. He's retired. He lives in Wisconsin, and I hadn't heard from him in a while. And Don Mueller's a veteran, a Vietnam veteran, a great guy, one of the best men I've ever worked for. But I worked for him for a while, and in the same company, and then he got transferred somewhere else. And but he and his daughter Michelle helped us financially meet some of those needs, and it was just a blessing. He and I talked a few times over the phone, and he was a tough guy to work for, but he was fair. He was very fair. And I respect that, and I still respect it. He was probably one of the best guys I ever worked for, because he was so fair. He wasn't unreasonable. He was just he was like playing football for Coach Bryant. I mean, that's kind of what it was, because he was an old football. He played college football and served in Vietnam, so he was tough. I mean, but that's
but
okay.
I love that.
I can
people
really.
they just bring the point out.
And nobody else. No, he had no favorites. Nobody was going to be his favorite. He treated us all exactly the same, and he didn't mistreat us by any means. He just had great expectations, and we tried to meet them. And man, he was a good guy, and I've so appreciated the fact that we've got reconnected again. And I mean, they helped us with some serious help to meet some of those needs. What a blessing that was. What a blessing.
You know, that's called, my grandmother used to say that was Angel's Bowling.
Yeah. No, I've never heard that one.
I'd be freaking out with storms when I was a little kid. She'd go, it's just Angel's Bowling.
Well, that's a good one. But well, they need to quieten that game down a little bit.
Y'all get a little rowdy up there.
Yeah, they may be having a little too much fun.
They may be, but there are areas you're filling lives and you don't even know it.
I guess. I mean,
but now if an English guy calls you, it's
Okay.
not one of those weird phone calls, and he says his name is Rick Staines. It's legit.
Okay.
Take that call.
Oh, and there's all sorts of byproducts that come from these things. I mean, I'm amazed at that. When I was preaching down at Stockyard Cowboy Church a week ago yesterday, they had this awesome group there singing that day, Curtis Williams Band, and man, they were really good. And this lady, and I don't know her last name, is Sarah. She sounds like Tammy Wynette. I mean, she's really good, and she sings well. And so they called me. I think it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. I get a phone call from them on Friday and said, "Hey, man, we really enjoyed your sermon, and we think that the Lord's calling us to get more involved in cowboy churches." Because they opened for some really big names, and he gave me and I was blown away. Places they have booked, so they're going to come up to the Trading Post here real soon on a Sunday, and they're going to spend the night there probably at the state park in Gunnersville, and come and do music for us one Sunday. And I can't wait, because they were really good, and she was really special. But they even had a steel guitar guy who was phenomenal. I mean, he was really good. So I can't wait. And that's just one of those little things that happen. Well, I had no idea. They said, "Lori, when we heard you preach," they said, "we realized that, man, we need to be part of cowboy churches."
You guys get more into South Carolina.
Oh,
I
we will.
know it's going to be happening. I know it will. But I wanted to mention something that happened here in Gadsden. And so this is when the hurricane came through into North Carolina. And I remember Kaylee Johnson
Yes,
at the
yes.
mall, at the Gadsden Mall. You need to, and by the way, she's received another promotion. This girl just keeps moving
Oh,
up.
she's
You know
sharp.
why? She takes care of the tenants in that mall right there.
Oh,
Because she
yeah.
has the background of retail, so she can help them out. So that just a little thing for Kaylee. If you're thinking about a business and you would like to maybe just be part of a community, maybe you're new in the area, Instant Friends. That's going to be your community right there. Get
Oh,
started
yeah.
at the Gadsden Mall. But they wanted to give.
Yeah.
And so she started taking up donations. And so she called me and she said, "I've got all these donations. I can't get them to North Carolina." Who did she call? She wanted me to call you.
Yeah.
And so she said, "Get in touch with Phillip and tell him to give me a call." So it was so much fun how that all connected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had trucks and
Does
trailers
Wormy-
going, and so
Wormy
we called
come?
Wormy, and Wormy, "Yeah, I'll go get it." He said, "I'll take it with ours. We got room." And so he carried it with their stuff up there. So, I mean, that's the thing that belonging to the fellowship
Who did
brings.
Kaylee call?
Oh,
You.
yeah.
You
Well,
guys.
and I have a lot of, she's young, but boy, she's smart as a wheel.
She's sharp as a
And,
tack.
yeah. I think about that a lot, seeing and that's what will encourage you, is you see these young people that are so smart, that are coming along, that do things the right way, and they are driven by the right things. And man, that'll encourage you. I'm not discouraged by this younger generation. I'm not threatened by it. I can tell you, I like those kind of people, and I've got a few more of them that I could name like that. Matt Knowles is one of our young pastors. He's like that. He'll probably take my place with the AFCC pretty soon. I hope he does. He's an awesome guy, and he looks about 20, but he's actually about 40. He just got
Baby
that,
face.
yeah. But
Like my
man,
Brad.
he's got he has got a servant's heart. Boy, he's a good fella, and so I'm encouraged by all this stuff that I see. I'm not sad because I'm getting to the point where I'm looking at I am encouraged by it because I'm so
You get
thankful.
to watch these birds sing that
Yes,
praise.
that's right. That's right. And they call and ask me something maybe, and I to know what you're going to be doing in the next season is really a blessing. And I know what it is. I'm going to do what I've been doing for Miss Sandy and Miss Ann, and some other people that are shutting.
Donna's age talk.
Yes. Well, I will always do that. But I'm going to go and try to be an encouragement to these people that are old as my age, that may not have it quite as well as I do health-wise. I want to try to help some of those if I can.
Let's talk about, it's got 3 minutes, a little bit over 3 minutes left in this segment. So if someone is interested in planning a church,
Yeah.
and what's the steps?
Well, they usually will reach out to, you can find us at AmericanFCC.org, and you can reach out to us, and we'll go see them, and we'll talk them through the process. We have it put together in a booklet, and it actually takes you step by step through the process of what you need to do legally with the Secretary of State, tax-wise,
Because
everything.
each state is different, so
It
it's
is.
dedicated to their state.
That's right. So we'll take you through all of that, and we'll help them get through that process, getting the 501(c). Everything is in that packet. Danny Bry leads that team, but I'm on that team myself. So, that's kind of what we do. That is a good thing. One thing I wanted to mention, because it comes up this Saturday, is the Horse Whisperer is at the Cowboy Church of Marshall County this coming Saturday. And a lot of our churches will go to that, and I hope they do really support it, because it's a good thing. If you've never been to it or seen one of those, it is really
So what is
awesome.
it?
Well, they take this horse that's never been ridden, and it's completely wild, and they'll spend an hour going through and dealing with this horse, and before it's over, they'll ride that horse. But it's and they'll put the spiritual life parallel to it,
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
and see how that, we did one. The biggest one we ever did was sponsored by the Marshall Baptist Association in Arab a few years ago. Paul Daly from Louisiana did it, and there was like 60 something people came for salvation. It was huge, and I helped. I carried a horse and helped that night a little bit. Man, that must have been a long time ago. But I will say that last week the weather was so pretty. I ended up on a horse a couple of days, and I just couldn't stand it because the weather was so pretty, and it was a joy to get back astraddle of the horse again.
Well, it's not pretty out here right now.
No, it's not.
We've got some stormy weather, but that really doesn't matter. If you want to buy a car from Bobby Ledbetter
Yes.
with Twin City Used Car Sales in Gadsden, Alabama, he's got an awesome staff, by the way. They're so friendly, and they're always there to help you, whatever your needs are. And this is another thing I've noticed from the staff, is they will ask you questions. They're not going to tell you what you want. You tell them what you want, and I think that's a big part.
That
of it.
is.
That way you're happy when you drop off.
That's right.
And guess what? School break has been here. Kids are going to be getting ready to go to college. Parents are looking for vehicles right
Yes.
now for those kids who are going to be leaving out. They've just graduated and they'll be going to college. So be thinking about that as well. You get a really good deal.
Absolutely. It's the best, the only place I would ever go to buy usually.
And that's the only, we're customers for life. Even being in South Carolina, we are customers
Yes.
of Bobby's right now. As a matter of fact, this one guy I interviewed was so funny. He's from New Hampshire, and he's a regular on the show. And so he said, you keep talking about this guy, Bobby Ledbetter. He said, we're looking for a used car. Would it be worth me driving all the way to Alabama?
Sure.
And I said, yes, it would be. And so Bobby said, some man called and said he was from New Hampshire. And he was friends with you. He said, are you friends with him? And I said, well, he's a guest on the show.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's customers anywhere. It doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
It's
That's
worth the
right.
trip. Thank you so much for being with
Oh,
me, Phillip.
my pleasure.
Always good to be with Phillip Gilliland with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, and get in contact with me if you're driving down the road right now and you just couldn't write down. I'll get you. I've got him on speed dial, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we wanted chicken one time. Remember
That's right.
that?
That's
Yeah.
right.
I said pray for my chicken, so he did. Chicken's okay, by the way.
Oh, good.
Doing really good. But thank you so much for watching.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.